Sistas, Bonafide. Sistas, Bonafide. Sistas, Bonafide. I got my sister and me.
Hey Sistas Bonafide family, what's going on? Hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful extended weekend, okay? So for those of you who are new here, my name is Ebony. I'm one half of Sistas Bonafide, so thank you guys so much for watching. And for those of you who are returning, really appreciate the love, okay? Truly appreciate it. Now, today, as you can see, I am in my kitchen. Okay, I'm holding it down by myself today because I want to show you guys how I've learned how to make lobster tail. Okay, lobster tail, first of all, seafood in itself is just amazing to me. I love it. I could eat it all the time. But I've also can be intimidated by like making new foods and trying how to cook, you know, different things. So it's like, it's one of those situations where I was a little afraid to try something new and try to cook something new. But I said, you know what? This season, I'm going to embrace the flaws. I'm just gonna try it and do it and just see what comes of it. So this is actually my third time making lobster tail, okay? And I decided to document it. Why not, right? So I have my glasses off right now, but I'm gonna show you guys the ingredients and everything and how I make it in a minute, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that that's what we're doing today, okay? So join me for the ride, y'all. Okay, you guys, so I have my glasses on because now I'm about to get down to business, okay? But before I do, I'm gonna show you guys the ingredients that I used in order to season my lobster tail, okay? So the first thing I use is a little bit of salt, not too much. You know, try to keep it as light as possible. A little bit of pepper, right, of course. Garlic, those are my three staples, salt, pepper, garlic. I pretty much use that on everything. A little bit of Old Bay seasoning. You'll see what I do with this. I don't like to personally put it directly on the lobster tail. To me, it's a little bit too strong in my opinion, but you'll see how I mix this in. Similarly with the parsley. Parsley just makes even the ickiest thing look nice. So I add this to the end. You'll see what I do with this as well. Okay, then I have butter. You'll see why I'm gonna use butter. And as far as the other little tools that I'll be using, I'm gonna use this brush to brush on my butter sauce, which is why I said I have butter here, because let you guys know now, while I'm making the lobster tail, I like to make a side butter sauce for it. So I'm mixing like the garlic and maybe a little bit of Old Bay in the garlic, in the butter sauce, and then brushing on. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. You need a good pair of scissors in order to cut the lobster tail, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. And I like to use gloves. You don't really need them, but like, I like to make myself feel like I'm doing something important, and I feel like gloves make me do that. So I'm gonna put some gloves on as I'm cutting the lobster tail, okay? And then of course, the main part of the whole thing are the lobster tail. I have 4 in here. They're pretty small. Really nothing to them. And honestly, it looks intimidating about like in terms of how to like cut the lobster tail and stuff like that. But I'm telling y'all, once you get the first one down, you'll be good to go. So I'm gonna walk you guys through how to cut the lobster tail, how to separate it and all that stuff, pull the meat out. We won't go through all of it. I'm gonna go through it step by step with y'all. And if you're trying to learn how to make lobster tail and you may be a little intimidated by it, don't be intimidated, girl. It's not hard. If I could do it, you could do it. So let's get started. All right, you guys. So here I'm opening the pack of lobster tail, about to get things started with my little gloves on. You see me with my gloves on. Like I said, I like to feel more important than what I am. The tray is just breaking up, so whatever, but it's okay. We're not gonna use that for long. Set the garbage aside. We'll deal with that later. Set that broken piece apart from the tray, and let's start taking out the lobster tail. So the first thing you wanna do, right? You see the whole lobster tail on its back, front and back. The first thing that you want to do is, break or press down on the back of the lobster tail. And what this does is that when you're ready to pull the meat out of the shell, it'll make it so much easier to do that because typically it's attached to the bottom of the shell. So, breaking it will make it easier. Then you're gonna cut off, grab your scissors, cut off those little pieces that are on the shell. You don't really want those while you're eating the lobster tail. Just cut those off. It's just easy to, to be able to do that right away as opposed to eating it with it on. And it makes it look a little better too to have those cut off. Okay, and what I should have said earlier was just make sure that your scissors or whatever you're using to cut the lobster tail have been cleaned. I say clean them with simple soap and water will do. You just don't want to have anything that's on your lobster tail touching something that you're going to eat that has not been cleaned off. Okay, that one's a little stubborn, so I had to put a little bit more elbow grease in that one. But so you just basically go all the way down. You see how now it's flexible, and you can move it around. So that's how that should go. Now here's the fun part. So you're gonna stick your scissors inside, right? And then just cut straight down the middle. Okay, the first one is typically the hardest, and it's really even not that hard, y'all. You just cut it down the middle until you get to the bottom of the lobster tail. Okay, and it may be a little tricky, but just don't be afraid. Just cut it down. You're not gonna break it. Now you're gonna separate the shell from itself, separate it as you can see there, and then you're gonna pull the meat out of the shell. Now, like I said, because we did that part of breaking the back of the shell earlier, it was so much easier to pull it out. Now you're just gonna close the shell up and then lay the meat on top of the shell. And that's pretty much it. Okay, and that's how, you get it to look kind of cute and have a little nice presentation with it. Okay, and that's pretty much how you do it. So we're gonna do the next one as well. Same process. Set that aside. Yes. Same process. And, you just break it down the middle. Just like press it. I don't want to say break it. I shouldn't say that. Just press it down the middle. Like press it a little hard so that way you'll see it bending. The shell will be bending. And like I said, it'll make it a lot easier to pull the meat out from the shell. Okay, and then, the next step is just to cut those little, I guess those are like the little tails or whatever part of the lobster is on there. Just cut those off. I think it's just for presentation purposes because you're really not going to eat the shell, obviously, but, you don't want extra stuff all up in your plate. Why? You know what I'm saying? Just cut it off. And it's super easy, y'all. As long as you have a good pair of scissors, it will not be hard at all to do this. Just take your time. Don't rush. You know what I'm saying? If you have an event, you have people coming over, start early. Don't wait till the last minute so that way you're not overwhelmed or you feel like you're not doing the right thing. Take your time. Believe me, it's really easy. And after you do the first one, the next however many you have, smooth sailing. I'm telling you, it's easy. Okay? Got those cut off. Now we're going to go to I guess this is the front of it, the back, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, the main part of the shell. And you're going to do what we did the first time and just cut right on down the middle. Just cut right on down. Like I said, get you some good scissors because it'll make the process a lot easier. Open the shell up and pull the meat right on out. Sometimes it could be a little stubborn, but like I said, y'all, don't get discouraged. It is super, super easy. You just got to put a little elbow grease in it sometime, but it will work, okay? And that's your second one. You see how it's sitting right on top of the shell. You lay that flat, and that's that. And I'm going to fast forward through the other ones because y'all want to hear me talk for the rest of them. You guys get the gist. Okay, y'all, so now I'm by the sink and now I'm just rinsing off my lobster tail. I like to do this after I cut the lobster tail and like take the meat out. I just like to rinse it off because you'll see if you do it, if you cook them, that there's a lot of like membrane and stuff on there that you want to just make sure that's not on your lobster tail before, once you cook it. Just to give it a little once over. It won't hurt just to run some water over it, make sure that they're clean, pull the meat out, clean under the shell, and you're good to go. All right, y'all, one more step before we put these babies in the oven. I like to season my little butter sauce. I just put like about 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter in a bowl, put a little salt, a little pepper. Ooh, that's a lot of pepper. All right. A little garlic. Okay, we're gonna open that up. And I'll also put in a little bit of Old Bay sauce, Old Bay seasoning, because like I said, I don't really care for the Old Bay directly on the lobster tail. It just doesn't taste right to me. I don't know. Maybe I just did it too much before and it didn't sit right with me. But anyway, put a little bit of parsley in there, even though I could have just saved that for last, but whatever. It is what it is. Get my little spoon, wipe it off a little bit, and then just gonna mix all of that up. Okay, gonna mix it up a little bit, make sure everything is mixed up in there. And once that's mixed up, very good, we're going to fix that little one that keeps falling down. And then we're gonna set this aside. That's the mixture, you're gonna set it aside. Okay, now what we're gonna do is season the lobster tail directly. Okay, just gonna put a little bit of salt. Ooh. Could be heavy-handed sometimes. On each one. A little bit of pepper on each one. And obviously you can use whatever seasoning you see fit. This is just to my liking. Like, this is what I like to use, and that's just what it is. Put a little garlic on there as well. Like all that good stuff. And now what I like to do as well is season the back of the meat. So I lift up the meat, and then season it back as well. Because you don't want the top of the meat to be seasoned and then you bite into it and then the bottom is like, ugh, ain't no seasoning. So you want to make sure that it's evenly seasoned on both sides of the meat. And you, like I said, you use whatever seasonings you want to use. Okay, and I'm gonna add the pepper on now. Use all of that. Just take my time and do that, and then you'll see that it'll be nice and seasoned. Now, after this, I'm gonna add the garlic in. Okay, and you do it to your liking. You know what I mean? You don't have to, personally, I don't like to use measurements. I just, I cook just with however I see fit. Like I try not to overdo it, obviously, with the seasonings. But you make it to where you like it. And if you are familiar with cooking, then you know what your taste buds call for. So do what you love, do what you like to do, and cook how you like to cook. Okay. Now, what I'm gonna do is after I fix that, you know what? And that's another thing I want to mention too. Don't get upset if and when you see that the lobster tail, they kind of lose their shape a little bit. Throughout the way, you might have to readjust them a little bit, but don't worry. Don't feel bad about that. Now I'm going to take my brush that I showed you guys earlier, and I'm going to brush the butter sauce onto the lobster tail. Okay? Each one. I think I'd put a lot of butter in the bowl. I probably could have just used maybe like 2 tablespoons. Instead I used like 3, but that's okay. Now the trick is, not really a trick, but the thing to keep in mind is that what I like to do is keep some butter sauce on the side after I put it on the lobster tail and put the lobster tail in the oven for it to cook. I like to keep some at the ready when I take them out of the oven, so that way you can just touch up the lobster tail with the butter sauce. Okay, and then I just, like I said, you have to brush the back and make sure whatever you do to the front of the meat, you do to the back. So that way you get your even exchange of seasoning and butter sauce and all that good stuff on the meat. Okay, and that is pretty much it. And like I said, you're gonna put that to the side so that way when it comes out the oven, you can just brush up on it a little bit before you dig in. And now you're just gonna readjust them, you know, make them look cute. Put the meat back on top of the shell, and just, you know, make sure that they're sitting up nicely. That's all. Take your time and do it, and then you are ready to put these bad boys in the oven. Okay, it's about that time, y'all. Let's do it. Okay, y'all, so now that we've done all the prep work, our babies are ready to go in the oven. But let's just take a quick look, right? Wait, let me come over here, let y'all see it a little bit. Yeah, so this is how they look before going in the oven. I mean, honestly, in terms of like how to cook it, my oven cooks really, really fast and it heats up really fast. So I don't have to preheat anything. I just turned it on about to like 425, 450. I think that's kind of like the default for when I'm cooking something. And I let them stay in for about, I'll check it like 15, 20 minutes in. And you know, you'll see when they start to cook, because not only does the meat look, you know, more whitish than gray, but the shell is also like a really bright red. So I'll show you guys how it looks once it's done, but this is a prepared lobster tail, and we're gonna throw these in the oven and see what we come back with. All right, you guys, so here are the lobster tail. It's the finished product. This is it, y'all. Okay, and I ain't gonna hold y'all. It smells pretty good. They smell good. I'm about to tear this up. So, you know, this is pretty much it. It's like I said, it's really simple. It's easy to make. You just gotta have a little bit of patience and don't get discouraged, y'all. Like, do whatever you feel like doing. Cook whatever you feel like cooking. Even if you mess up or you feel like, okay, I could have did this a little better the first time around, it doesn't matter. Just try it. That's the only way you're gonna learn. That's the only way that you're gonna know how to do it going forward. And my advice to you is listen, because I'm sweating. Don't have a dance party while your oven is on and no air circulating. It's a recipe for disaster. Like, I'm literally sweating. So I'm about to get out this hot kitchen and enjoy my lobster tail. But please, y'all, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and to hit that notification bell. Ding, and do what you love, y'all. Love you guys. Bye.
It's official. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Ding. Sistas Bonafide.